ladies and gentlemen, for the Fringe FM. Coming at you live from the middle of nowhere, the center of everywhere, here once again to give you yet another scrumptious dose of conversational boogie. This is the one and only, and sexy, Shift Happens. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a little over a month since we've had a show on here. Had quite a bit of travels, quite a bit of illness, and then a bunch of studio work to keep me from here. But we are back and trying to get back on full schedule here. And what better way to get back to it with our second video episode, but this time it's not just me on video. We got our guest is on video as well, and a friend of the show will be joining us for a little while as well. I'm sure you can guess which a bearded man that is, and we'll get to him in just both of them in just a bit. Now tonight we are not on. We're not broadcasting on the Fringe FM. I couldn't get into the station, so what can you do? But you know, the replays will still air over there, and the audio only replays and all the usual places: Spotify, Spreaker, ShiftHappensRadio.com. With the video, of course, being on YouTube. On YouTube. And so yeah, let's see how long we can get this YouTube train, keep this YouTube train going before we get a strike or something. But I think we'll be good tonight. So well, I'll go ahead and not worry about that right now. And then I think coming up later this month, we got Captain Ron from Contact in the Desert coming on, which, yeah, by the way, if you guys want to go to Contact in the Desert, you've heard me ramble on about the conferences for years. At this point, you know the drill. Get there while you can status. And, you know, the earlier you get your tickets, the cheaper they are, and same with the room. Not to mention those rooms always sell out. So if you want a room at the actual place, get there while you can, son. And, you know, we'll probably be giving away a couple of passes as well, but, you know, I wouldn't hold your breath on those because we're only giving away like one or two. So unless that makes or breaks you going, then just hope you win, I guess. But more on that with Captain Ron either next week or the week after. And outside, there's some other stuff, but I just don't really feel like getting into anything else. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring on tonight's guest. Tonight, we've got none other than Drew Bankey. He returns once again from Sacred Journeys Within, and he's had a killer year, just 2025 so far, but also this last year and a half or so. He's really been making the rounds on some of the biggest podcasts in the world. He's got all kinds of viral clips going on from some of the epic stuff he said during those interviews, and it's really cool to see. Well, I'll get to that in a second. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, Drew Bankey. What's happening, my friend?
What's up? Thanks for having me back. Hey, Mr. Elfman, good to see you too, brother.
Yep.
What's up, Drew?
Yeah, what's happening?
It's good to be back. It's good to be back. Been busy and doing a lot of things, and got a lot of things cooking, man. So, yeah, stay tuned.
Hell yeah, man. And, you know, it's because I remember very clearly, you know, like when you first started making the rounds, and I want to say it was like around 2021 when you first started coming on this show, maybe a little earlier, and
somewhere around there.
And you know, because you had written those two books, but as far as like this whole not industry, you know, this whole community, you know, you were pretty new to the scene, and you know, starting from scratch just like everybody else did. But I remember you were very like, and you told the story in the show as well with one of your ayahuasca experiences where you just like knew like this is what I'm here to do, and you were just always like, I'm going to make this happen. Like I know this is going to reach people, and that is now happening. You know what I mean? In full force. You know what I mean? So it's really like talk about manifesting your shift.
Yeah, it's very humbling for sure. When I got the message to speak. I got the message to share my story, and because it was going to help people, not so much as teaching people, but more like opening people up so they can like do their own research, have their own experiences, things like that, and more like I was going to be a reflection for humanity. That's pretty much verbatim what I was told. Not that I was going to be a teacher, a deity, or anything like that, but just a reflection, like whatever come about in me, like it opened up doors in other people's minds. Like if they see me accomplishing something, it's opening up stuff in their minds. If they resonate with things that I say, like luckily, over the past month, I've had 2 viral videos go out on Instagram. One's 270,000 right now. The other one's 375,000 views, and that's just very humbling. Some of the stuff I'm talking about in those is, connecting. One of them is connecting to the sun, and the other one is experience I had in Yopo and talking to the Greys, and them teaching, basically explaining how Reiki healing and energy healing is possible. And those 2 clips are, collectively they have over 600,000 views, and this is very humbling to know that. For one, not only my message is getting heard, or what I have to speak about is finally getting heard and hitting the masses, but it tells me a lot of, I'm very confident in who I am, have been from the beginning, getting more confident now as time goes on. But I know that the message would start hitting the masses when it was going to be the right time. So now that it's hitting the masses, now it's letting me know that something, much bigger is on the table that's coming up. So not just for me, I'm talking about for, the evolution of humanity, like this jump point that we're in, that we're going through this massive shift. We're constantly going through evolution. So people talking about evolution of humanity, that's a blanket term that we're always going through. But this point that we're going through right now is very special. And I think a lot of us can agree on that. So you're muted.
Good call. I was muted. Now, but it's interesting that, like, I don't know, just your average person today, there's so much more, like, just our consciousness, collective consciousness has evolved so much since even just the 90s. Like, I feel like just your average person was just thinking in more 2D, 3D type thinking, and nowadays it's like everybody and their grandma has learned some crazy new information or a conspiracy or some health. Sure. Like, it's just like everybody's just so, I think the internet plays a big role in that as well, just being able to communicate instantly. But also it's not just that though, it's also the need to understand what this reality is in a much deeper level has permeated through your average person so much more than it ever has before, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I've been talking about since the beginning. I forecasted this from the beginning that we were going to be going through this time, and here we are, right smack dab in the middle of it. We got Oprah coming out and talking about psychedelics the other day, which was a huge thing for the psychedelic movement. Wow. To have someone, so cut and dry, have an interview and talk about it so openly and so supportively. It's just the times we're in is just so amazing. It's I feel lucky to be alive in this time. I feel lucky to be doing what I'm doing. I'm living a dream now. I'm got a place in California that we're doing ceremonies at in Joshua Tree, beautiful location. Close to LA, so it's a target rich environment for people that want to do ceremonies. So everything's just coming together so perfectly that it's just I see my life as a reflection of the whole. A lot of people are scared right now. A lot of people, don't agree with the administration that come in. A lot of people love the administration that come in. You're either one way or the other on it, and a lot of people are scared for the sake what's going on in the world. I don't see it like that at all. It's been what I'm saying. I stick to the same story, and I feel the same way that I did when I first started talking on here. I think this is a beautiful time that we're in, and I think people need to just shift their mindset just a little bit, or shift their perspective just a little bit to see the beauty that's happening right now, and the magic that's happening right now in the world, and what we're going into, what the stage of humanity that we're going into, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, since you've been getting on the bigger shows and stuff now, I know you can't give names, but have you got any of them to do ceremonies with you yet?
No, I've invited them all, obviously, but I will say we just went and seen Adam Ray. He does Dr. Phil Live.
Hell yeah.
We just seen him in Denver for Valentine's Day. So me and my wife went on a date. First time we've been out in 3 years. And I did get him to eat mushrooms with me backstage. So
nice.
Yeah.
Him and all his crew, and I don't think he's shy about me talking about that. So it was just some microdoses, but it was funny. I hope. So he had a camera person so we got like VIP tickets so we could do the meet and greet in the back in the after the show and everything. So we went backstage and was talking to him. So he had like a cameraman there taking pictures and videos of people, and we had like these little microdoses like right here. So just small, like super small, but we got pictures and videos of us like cheersing before we like hitting them like that before. So and I talked to him, we started talking probably about 6 months ago or so, and I told him if he ever wants a traveling medicine man to go around with him on tour, let me know. I'm down for that. But yeah, it's I invite a lot of people, but I mean Sean Kelly, he's experienced, from the this biggest one, the 2 viral clips, and he's going to be releasing more clips on Instagram. He's got 11.6 million followers, so anytime he releases a video, it's almost guaranteed to go viral, which by definition is like 100,000 views within a short time frame. And the second video that went out, it hit 300,000 views in the first 4 hours. So so they're both viral anyways, but he's well known for he's not any secret that he's dabbled in psychedelics, and I think it's great. He's a young guy too. I think he just turned 28 or 29, but he's got the number three podcast overall. So he's doing pretty good. He's doing really good. So
now, when you did your Homestead show, did you tell them what you did? I mean, did they know about that?
Yeah. There was I had my hands tied by what I could say on camera and stuff. Like, some of the stuff they just, it's Discovery Channel. It's a family show, so some of the stuff you can't talk about. But if you look at some of the other shows that Discovery's putting out, they're putting out alien research, alien documentaries, psychedelic documentaries and stuff like that. But they just didn't want it being mixed in with Homestead Rescue. If you do watch the first episode, the clips of the greenhouse that's attached to my house, you can see San Pedro cactus in the background. But I've got enough people that know, like they've seen and kind of and reached out. I've got some ceremonies out of it, and referrals and stuff like that from the show. So, and continue to have people reach out, interested in what I do, or wanting clarification on what I do. But they mentioned Sacred Journeys Within, the church quite often throughout it, and it's got enough attention, for sure. But yeah, everybody knows, like,
those who need to know what it is, like,
yeah, a lot. And the people on the show, Misty and all the crew and stuff, they always, whenever we're in between shots, especially when I filmed again. I don't know if I've been on this show since I filmed again with Homestead Rescue, but I filmed again, and then we cut, I think, back in September, October, and that'll be coming out this year sometime in season 13. Another episode that I was in, or another episode that I was in. But whenever we're in between and we go out to dinner, like, everybody's at, the whole crew's always asking me, questions about microdosing and ayahuasca and, all the above. So.
Hell yeah. Now, speaking of these, Discovery Channel and whatnot, I have been trying to find an answer for this for years, and I don't know how to word it on Google. So everyone, I am in the chat, on the show, somebody hopefully have this answer. There was this excellent little program, like sort of like a show that was on the Science Channel, and all it was computer animated, and it would just be like a bunch of items doing an obstacle course, like a marble rolling down a thing, and then it pops up and hits something, and then every time it hits something, it would make a musical note, like bing, bing, bing. Then they'd add a second thing. A bowling ball comes through and hits something, krum, bing, krum, bing, krum, bing. And then there's like 7,000 things going on by the end, and it's like a whole symphony. And I used to just get stoned out of my mind and just stare at that for an hour. And it was so cool. And I can't, like how do you Google that? Like I've tried Googling it. I don't know what words to use, like how to describe it, and I cannot even prove it exists. But
ChatGPT, man. I would use ChatGPT and be like, hey, what's this?
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that would definitely work. Okay, that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
But
pretty good.
But if somebody knows the name of that show, put that in the chat room. I've got to I want to get stoned and watch some more of that again. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And it was so well done too. Really cool program they had there. But anyway, before you interrupted me, no, I'm just kidding. Where is are you? What conferences do you have coming up this year, or what lectures are you going to be given this year, or do you have any plans yet, or are you mostly doing the podcast?
I've been invited to speak at a Start Knowledge conference up on the res again, and I haven't decided if I'm gonna go with that one yet or not. But yeah, Brad Olson's gonna be there. Man, a few other people, but it's yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go that one or not. It's a lot for me to get out, especially right now. I've been doing a lot of ceremonies and stuff, so for me to go to a conference, I'd be taking a hit, as far as financially on that one. But yeah, it's just a lot of interesting stuff. There's an event that people are organizing in Miami. It's going to be a high-end event, but it's going to be at a resort there, and we're going to be doing ceremonies. I'm going to be speaking and stuff, but yeah, it's going to be a influencer event, like so.
Is that the one you did last year? The like psychedelic fest or whatever it was called?
No, that was a festival that's in that was Zen Awakening Festival. This is something totally different. So I did a retreat out in Joshua Tree at this place that we've been working out of there. It's a really nice home. It's got a hot tub, heated pool, this the whole 9 yards in it, really nice place.
So that's in the Joshua Tree town.
No, it's actually in 29 Palms, but it's right outside Joshua Tree. So,
yeah. I mean, it's just a stoplight.
It's technically 29 Palms, but it's all the same area. But so last retreat that we did, we had a professor that came there that lives in LA, and he's also a stand-up comedian. There was another guy there that owns a ketamine clinic in LA. Very successful ketamine clinic. There was the guy that owns the property that's we did the ceremony at the retreat at. He's an artist, has a studio downtown LA, and lives in West Hollywood, and has this place out in Joshua Tree and other, I don't know what other place he has, but point is it was a well-to-do crowd, and everybody was really impressed at the end. And at the end is they're all like, what can we do to help and all this stuff. So the guy with the ketamine clinic's like basically organizing this event in Miami and stuff, and bringing me down there and introducing me to a lot of people that's I should be seeing right now. So
fantastic. And do you when you're out there in 29 Palms, do you guys go out for food at all, or do you mostly like cook yourself? Because I know you got to have like sort of a strict
we normally do the grocery shopping. Like we have a whole grocery list, so, and we cook our own food and stuff like that. A lot of it's prepared already, but especially during ceremonies, you don't have big meals until really the end. Like in between meals, it's like hummus and vegetable trays and things like that in between ceremonies, because you want to try to, not really fast, but keep as least off your stomach as possible. But we always have a feast at the end. But I think this last time we had 8 people. I think the grocery bill is like $500 or $600. So, yeah. But we put all that together too. Like, so it's all inclusive when people come to a retreat. We have another one coming up in April, and we're planning another one this month with a few it's going to be like a private one coming up this month, and then we're booking out onto May already. So
beautiful.
Now, when you do your ceremonies, you do your eating, you're doing vegetables and stuff. I noticed that's what you're talking about. Do you do any meat at all? Or is meat not one of the things that you do when you're doing your ceremonies?
Yeah, I definitely eat meat, especially running ceremony. But with like the participants, they tend not to eat meat until after. If it is meat,
well, I was wondering if it affects it at all or anything.
It does. Anything on your stomach, really. Ideally, you want to have like as least amount on your stomach as possible throughout the whole process. Like, so it's just you and the medicine, medicine connecting. And that's if we're talking about ayahuasca. But we have a private retreat for a few people coming up this month, and they're going to be working with bufo, which is the smokable 5-MeO DMT, the secretion from the toad. And so that's like the thing that takes you to source. So the diet's not as strict. Ayahuasca is kind of, I would say, probably like one of the most strictest diets that you have to go on to participate. Like, and it goes all the way down to not having sex, like for 30 days up before ceremony, and just taking away coffee and everything. Traditional like diets down in the jungle would be rice without any seasoning and boiled fish without any seasoning and water. That's what you would get like down in Peru or something like that, if you would go down and set with a tribe for extended period of time, and they would be doing multiple ceremonies with you. You would be in a hut by yourself, for the most part. You'd have a little outhouse that was close to that hut, and there'd be someone to bring you meals, and you wouldn't get much else than that. Maybe a little fruit here and there, but as far as your meals, that's all it would be. Very bland. Any spices or anything tends to interact with ayahuasca, and we've found over time, just things that you wouldn't even expect to affect it, like avocados affect ayahuasca ceremony. So a lot of people that, especially in health conscious and going into psychedelic ceremonies, they eat a half a avocado a day or something like that, and that's great. It's a great food. There's great fats in it, tons of health benefits in eating avocados, but it does interact with how ayahuasca and DMT metabolizes in your system. So it can dull the effect. And that's just one of many examples of food interactions that can dull the effect of the vision and effectiveness of the actual medicine itself. So
is there any
now, when you say
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, is when you do that, when you say it affects it, does it affect it on what level does it affect it? Is it auditory effect? Is it the visual effect? Is it
but mostly the visual effect, but the whole effect in general is dulled by certain foods. And there's certain foods that you'll eat that will heighten it. So unknowingly, anyone that's messed around with mushrooms for amount of time knows about lemon tech. And, if you eat mushrooms and drink a glass of orange juice, buckle up, because you've just doubled the effects of the medicine. But the same is, the same way that vitamin C affects psilocybin, it intensifies it. Avocados will dull the vision to you might not have as strong a vision or a vision at all. It might block a vision. So there's plenty of foods out there, and I've learned a real valuable lesson early on in ayahuasca, that grapes will intensify the vision too. So it was very early on, maybe my second or third or fourth ceremony or something like that, and it was the morning time, and I was done with the vision and everything, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get some food in the kitchen, and they had some grapes in there, so I started eating some grapes, and about a dozen grapes into it, I was like, well, I gotta go lay back down, and I went all the way back into it for another 4 or 5 hours. So you just,
all in all, does that affect the message? Or is it just, what I mean by is, like, if you're tripping, you're seeing, colors and all this other stuff. That's not really a message. Does the food affect the message or just the cartoon around you?
No, because, my belief is what happens in psychedelic ceremonies. You're getting a glimpse of a download that's going into you. Like whatever vision you see, you're getting a small glimpse of whatever information download is going into you, or given to you at that time, or you're remembering, or whatever, however you want to put it. But my point is, the visual part or the auditory part or whatever that you're seeing in the actual deep state of the ceremony is only a small part of the whole message anyway. So if you're not seeing it, you're still receiving it. You're still receiving the vibrational codes, and that is unfolded over time. I'm still unfolding my first ceremonies and why I went into my first ceremonies and stuff like that. Still,
so basically, the message is distorted.
I don't believe so. No, I think the message is on a deeper level. My point is, what you're perceiving with your mind's eye and things like that, through the vision or auditory vision or whatever you're perceiving in that moment, is just a small part of the overall download that's going into you from the medicine at that moment. And it may not be going into you. It may just be awakening the memory inside you, whatever, however you want to perceive that. But that message or that lesson that you're learning in that moment from the ceremony, is still, you're still receiving it, whether you're perceiving it or not.
Right. Yeah, I'd imagine if anything, like if it does the visuals, it would just be a different set of visuals that ticks a light bulb on that lets you learn the lesson. Whereas if you had some avocados before, it might be a different set of visuals, but it still would trigger the same thing to learn the same
But
lesson.
still, we're talking on the level of information where it's going at. It's on a vibrational level, like Dr. Emoto, like type of stuff with the vibrational code and water and stuff like that. So what you're seeing is just a small part of it anyways. You're only seeing a small part, even if you're having a vision for an hour in ayahuasca ceremony, you realize, over time that was only a small part of what was being shown to you in that moment. And you unpack it over time. I'm, like I said, I first drank in 2016. I'm still unpacking those first ceremonies, and what's because my perception is constantly changing because I'm constantly growing. When I'm looking back on those moments from this perspective, I'm learning new things than I would a year ago or 2 years ago, or 3 years from now. 3 years from now I'm going to be getting different learning different things from those moments, replaying them in my head because I'm looking at them from a different point of view. And that's just inevitable. It's just inevitable.
Absolutely. Now, so Dragon Rose says in the chat, dulling the effects is one thing, but I've heard you can throw up or have other system issues on plant medicine. And let's clarify that, because that is with DMT, no, shrooms, no, but ayahuasca, though, that's actually par for the course, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, think about, let's break it down. On a physical level, you're drinking a concoction that has 4-N-dimethyltryptamine in it. Same DMT that we make, been found in our brain, lungs. This is scientifically proven. So we're drinking this. It's going in our stomach. It's hitting receptors in our stomach. It's also hitting receptors as we drink it, starting in our tongue, all the way down our esophagus, all the way down to our stomach. So it's setting in there, hitting our receptors in our stomach, slowly starting to seep into our system. Our body's starting to metabolize it, the DMT. Some of it's not. Some of it's going to our blood-brain barrier. We're starting to see spots in the ceremony. It starts off like the vision starts off as little dots of sparks in the room, orbs. You start seeing orbs. They start getting bigger. They start turning into things after a minute. After a while, you might be totally out of your body, or, what you want to get to is having a visual state where it doesn't matter if your eyes are open and closed. That's the honey spot to get to,
Yeah.
where you can't get out of the spirit world, or whatever.
Yeah.
But so that liquid concoction that contains DMT is in your stomach. When you begin to purge or vomit, that starts to come out and hit the receptors in your esophagus again, all the way up, all the way out to your tongue again, and now your body is set to have a vision, or is on the edge of a vision, and then it hits all those receptors coming out as you vomit. That's the physical breakdown of what happens. That's why a lot of people that's experiencing ayahuasca will say, don't be shy of the urge or the vomit, or the vomit point, because that's where you're going to have your peak moment, and that's exactly why. That's why that's the breakdown of the physical aspect of it. Spiritual aspect of it, you have this master consciousness that's been charged for thousands of years through prayer, understanding, faith. It's all wrapped up in that ayahuasca brew that's in your stomach. It's collecting all that negative energy, and when you vomit it out, it's taking it with it. and it's taking out with it. It's like a loving mother, but it's in the form of a liquid, and it's in your stomach. So it's going through your whole system, figuring out what maybe you don't even know what you need. You know, it's figuring it. I always tell ayahuasca will give you what you need. It won't always give you what you want, because what you want isn't always what you need, but it will always give you what you need. And you will realize that you might not realize at the point of purge, you might not realize at the point of integration ceremony the next day or a week later or whatever, but it will come at some point, you know, down the road. You will realize, okay, it gave me exactly what I needed, you know, in that moment.
Absolutely. It always does.
I think that's true with everything, not just ayahuasca. You know, I think mushrooms give you what you need in that moment. I think, you know, peyote, all of it, you know, I think, and just life in general, you know, it'll give you a scare. You know, you might be driving down the road and cursing life and just down in the dumps, and you might have a deer might run out in front of you. You might get someone might sideswipe. You might, you know, just barely miss an accident. The next thoughts after those moments are like, okay, I'm grateful, you know, I'm grateful for life now. I'm glad I got through this. And all of a sudden you realize, you know, why that you should be in gratitude for your breath, you know. And that's just, psychedelics is no different. It's just magnifies life, I think, you know, and lets you see in just a different way. But, you know, life is a great teacher as well. You know, it doesn't have to be psychedelics, but for those that need it, I think there's, in these times right now, there's a lot of people that need a swift kick in the ass, and, you know, psychedelics will do that for you.
Yeah. And, you know, some of the best experiences you can have, which is pretty rare, but when what you need is also what you want, and then you go in, those are the most beautiful experiences ever. And Dragon Rose is like, she's not down with the vomiting. She's like, nope. But that's why I like just regular DMT, because first of all, I think it's a good appetizer, right, before you do ayahuasca, because DMT it's like ayahuasca, but it only lasts for like 5 or 10 minutes, and none of the bodily functions or anything like that. It's just a nice, beautiful little experience. I even just like just taking a little half a hit and just getting that body buzz, like even that right there. I just love that.
Just connect, you know. I feel you know, that just connected, and how should I put it, balanced, I guess would be the best way to put it. Like just a small hit of 5-MeO, like not enough to take me back to source, but enough to align me back to source. Like, because I know that I'm source now. I know that we're all source. Like everything, even the things that appear to be non-physical, I mean, non-sentient, like physical things, like it's all source, because it's all in someone's mind at one time. Like the chair, the microphone, everything, you know, the cigarettes, everything has, you know, even the sacred stuff, you know, sage and, you know, Palo Santo, like ayahuasca, everything. It's all been in someone's mind as an idea. Like, think about, like, ayahuasca just didn't appear, you know, like that ceremony just didn't appear. It was downloaded through someone. They put it together, you know, and over time there's been a structure, there's been a structure put around it. There's been songs put around it and things like that. But that's all been through the help and channeling of a human force, you know, and it's come out of someone's mind. Yeah, it's coming from a higher source, and I believe that there's spirits behind it and things like that. But that I probably won't ever understand fully in this lifetime. That's the beauty, and I would never want to understand. It's something so beautiful and profound. I would never want to understand it completely, you know.
I know exactly what you mean by how you feel about that. And
so like my wife, I never understand her completely, but you know, and I think that's the beauty in it, you know.
Yeah, you know, men have been trying to understand women for hundreds of thousands of years. So
maybe ayahuasca will help us.
Yeah, and
man, here's a question. So when you've done your ceremony, is everybody in their own vibe, or have you ever had people on the same vibe? Do you kind of understand what I'm saying, or do I need to get specific?
So usually
In
like
the same movie. Because, like DMT, a lot of people go to a certain room and see certain elves or whatever. And sometimes people, when they trip, they'll actually be watching and being in the same space and time. When you do your ceremonies, do you ever get people all together on one thing, or is it totally independent?
So yes and no. So so normally when ayahuasca starts ceremony, if let's just talk about ayahuasca because it's the easiest one, like as far as pertains to this conversation. When the ceremony starts off, everybody seems to be nervous, excited. People are nervous, excited. There's all types of different emotions in the room. There's when it comes up to drinking that first cup, the build up. It's because there's I say prayers, light candles. We're doing sage. We're talking. So the whole build up, and it's hours on end, and especially the lead up to ceremony can be months or years for people. Like, so when it comes up to those actual moments, like within minutes and whatever of actually drinking the cup, like you're here all types of different stuff. Like you're here. A lot of people have to go to use the bathroom, like the nervous bathroom visits, the last minute nervous bathroom visits. People think they're going to, I don't know, piss themselves or something, what I don't know, but what is going through their mind. But it's obviously a lot of emotion, and I know what it was like for me, and still, like, even before, every time I drink ayahuasca, there's nervousness that leads up to it. But all of them start off, everybody's on different vibes, and there's a point when the whole group throughout the night, you can see them meld, and they all are having like the same heart space, and basically everybody be calm at the same time, everybody be excited at the same time, and we're talking about in the middle of ceremony. But as far as visual states, it can vary from one person to the next, and this is why. Like, so let's just say, Elfman, you are devout Christian, and Gigi, you're was raised in a Buddhist household, like generational Buddhist household. One person's gonna see Jesus come talk to them, and then the person beside them is gonna have Buddha come talk to them.
Right.
But they're gonna be talking at the same time, giving the same message. But the avatar that people are going to see in their mind is going to be dictated by how they were, whatever recipe they were made with, whatever spiritual identity that, whatever they spiritually identify with, whether it be religion, spiritual practice, or whatever, it doesn't matter. The avatar, the visual that's going to come to them is going to be different, but the basic message is going to be the same. So you have Buddha and Jesus talking side by side to one person and the next, and they basically be saying the same exact thing.
Perfectly
so
explained. Yeah.
The messages are concurrent, but the visual states can vary from one person to the next depending on whatever. And that just goes to show how powerful our mind is, because we construct of, how we're going to receive the message.
Exactly. Yeah, it's always going to relate to you.
Exactly.
To how to how you can relate.
Yeah, because if you have Buddha going to someone that has been reading the Bible their whole life, it's not going to make sense to them. It's not gonna be heartfelt. It's not gonna make any difference in their life, But if someone's been studying Jesus their whole life and they see Jesus in a vision, they'll never forget it, And this is how the universe works, and ultimately, the universe is yourself. The bigger picture. You're making all this. You're constructing all this to make it make sense to you. Your higher self decides how it's gonna be the best absorbed, like the message is going to be best absorbed.
And it seems like there's one particular theme that, to some people more than others, but everybody seems to experience at least little splashes. Like one ingredient for everybody is always the sort of Egyptian, the Egyptian stuff, the Egyptian symbology and the symbols and the,
Interesting, isn't it?
and the hieroglyphs, you know, like everybody sees the Egyptian stuff. So that, you know, what does that tell you?
Well, that's on a bigger picture because we're as humanity, as humans, like as a species, we're going through cycles, and what this time frame right now is very closely represents or matches to a time that we've lived in the past would be in ancient Egypt, where I think in ancient Egypt, as far as like the pyramids and Osiris, Isis, all that time frame, you know, and even when Jesus went there to receive teachings, you know, during his travels before he started teaching, he actually went to the pyramids and received teachings. So that area in Egypt has a long time been a focal point. I don't know if it's as far as energy point on the earth as why the pyramids are there, but it's very clear that there's something very profound going on in that time frame, and I think we're going through a very similar time. So I really think that everyone that's alive right now, I think we all live past lives in Egypt. I think we're especially those that are speaking on this a lot and doing this work and this, that, and the other. I think, you know, we lived during that time, and I think we're having memories, not through ancestral memories. I think it's more from like you know, codes in the water and vapor and stuff like that. I think it more goes along the frequency and vibration codes, things like that. So
Yeah, and it's almost to the point where I sort of, it seems to me, you know, with this common Egyptian symbology that everybody sees on these experiences, it leads me to believe that, like we were talking at the beginning of this show, this collectively we're in this new awakening, sort of people are just realizing things more and more every day, thinking in 4D and 5D whereas we never had before. Our consciousness, collective consciousness, is expanding rapidly. I would imagine that the last time the last time that humanity got to this point in the cycle was during whoever actually built the pyramids.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Whoever that civilization was, I think they might have been the last ones to hit this point, and that might have something to do with why we all see that sort of symbology on these experiences today.
Yeah, you know, there's you know, Chris Bledsoe come out on the Sean Ryan podcast a while back, and was talking about some things that he saw and prophesied for, I think, the year 2026 on Easter, having to do with the Sphinx. I've talked about the, you know, visions of the Sphinx before, thinking, you know, I think this is coming out this year. This is my thing, and I put this out before, so this is not exclusive content, but it's semi-exclusive content. But I think that Osiris's tomb is under the right paw and Isis's tomb is under the left paw. I know it's been talked about by people in the past. I think Edgar Casey talked something about some mysteries going on under the paws, but no one has actually ever said about Osiris and Isis's tomb. I think that's the big thing that's kind of come out, you know, and when they find Osiris's tomb, they're going to find out, you know, he was a star being, you know, his skeletal remains or whatever, his remains, I think they're going to find him this year or next, and that's going to be the bombshell, you know, and after that, I think it's going to open up our relationship with ET. But, you know,
wait, so are they finally allowed to go see what's under there finally?
Well, there's been a lot. There's always been for years. There's been that I've heard talk about secret tunnels and caverns and something special about the pause up under there. But I've received visions or dreams, or I can't remember where it came from exactly, but that's what I've seen and been kind of led to believe. But as far as the stuff I talk about, like these two clips, the two viral clips, one of them talking about sun meditation and breatharians living off the sun and getting to a heightened state of consciousness and not need to eat anymore and things like that. That there's a sharp divide. There's a lot of comments, a lot of interaction with both those clips. But it shows a very sharp divide because there's, half the people that are commenting on there, they understand it. They're 100% on it, or they're 100% against it. There's no middle of the road. And it's really interesting seeing these bigger, my content getting out and having these bigger responses and able to see such a stark contrast in the comments and stuff. It's very interesting to see it. But it's also, because my circle, everyone that's in my circle, I talk to them. Most people are on my vibe or close to the vibe. So it's interesting to see people that totally disagree with me, in the comments and stuff. And hopefully I get to the point of not reading comments at one point, but I'm not to that point yet.
Yeah, you don't want to get too caught up in that.
Yeah.
It's just the negativity round. I mean, sometimes, you meet cool people and have good conversations, but so much of it is just people bashing you because they don't like the way your glasses look, everything from that to what you actually said, but now real quick, we have a couple of questions from the chat. One goes back to ayahuasca, but before we go back to that, so MJ, get to your question in a second, but Dragon Rose is asking, when they find Osiris, will all his parts be there? Sorry, that's just the first thing that came to mind and I had to ask.
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
And
I think there's going to be enough there to show that he was definitely not from this planet.
Because I think I heard Jay Weidner say that when he was out there one time that there was a right by the Sphinx, by one of the legs or in the back of the Sphinx or something, there was just a couple of like planks of like plywood and just barely covering up this something, and then he went and looked under it and it was a straight passage going straight down right next to the Sphinx, and he got accosted immediately by the guards that were on duty. So I wouldn't be I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's already been down there and has taken some artifacts and whatnot. I mean, just think about, I think people underestimate how massive the black market ancient artifact market is. You have all kinds of multi-hundred millionaires and billionaires that have all this stuff that nobody ever knew existed because they were homie with whichever nation went and excavated it first, and before they even tell the public anything, they just keep, they sell stuff for like $30 million for an ancient cup, and I would imagine some stuff's been taken away, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
I'm sure
now,
there is.
Now, MJ is asking, back to ayahuasca, he's saying, have you ever had a person while under the influence of ayahuasca get up and walk around and have that
all time? Yeah.
Experience
all
right?
time.
Yeah.
All the time. It's not unheard of at all. And what is that church? The Santo Daime Church. It's a church that's based around ayahuasca. It was formed in, I think, Brazil. They have branches all over the world now, but their structure is totally different than like a traditional ayahuasca ceremony in Peru. Like they all wear white. There's a hymn book that everybody gets, and they literally dance and spin and do different movements, like in synchronicity. Like the whole group, like will do like a spin to the right or a spin to the left, and the whole night. And they be holding these hymn books in their hands, and they'll all be singing the same song. And there'll be sometimes hundreds of people in these ceremonies, like but they're all wear white. So they basically took the brew of ayahuasca and basically formed their own tradition around it, and it's Santo Daime Church. It's super well known. It's one of the only legalized like globally ayahuasca churches that there is. So the UDV and the Santo Daime Church is the two, and they've been around long before Sacred Journeys was ever thought about, or Soul Quest in Orlando, that they were open 10 years and closed down, like maybe 6 months ago or so after being open 10 years. But, the Santo Daime and UDV's been open for a very long time.
Interesting. Now, I think I remember you said you had this was a while back. This was several years ago. You mentioned, I don't know if, feel free to, if this isn't something you can talk about, but to pass on this. But you mentioned there was somebody you knew in Florida who was doing really well running their own plant medicine church out there, and he got slapped hard and had to go to prison for a while. Is he still in prison, or how did that all play out? And why? Yeah. Why? Because wasn't he like? Didn't he go through all the right channels, and it was an established church and everything like that?
I think you might be talking about Soul Quest, but he didn't go to prison. There was a lawsuit because there was a death there a few years ago. So he got like financial legal trouble. He won the court, like the family. There was a wrongful death, like the legal part of it, but financial part of it, I think the family won like $15 million or something like that. And that's really what ultimately like closed down Soul Quest ultimately. Like there was, they were doing a lot of business. They were probably, 100 people a weekend, at $1,200 minimum per person. So, you do the math on that, and it's every, 3 to 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weekends a month, for 10 years. So you do the math on that. He was doing pretty dang good. I think last time I talked to him, no, not the last time I talked to him, but I was there, me and Ella was there a few years ago and helped him out with a ceremony for a weekend, sung for him and help hold space for a weekend there. And I asked him, I was like, how many people has been through the doors here? He's like, over 15,000 people has been through the doors. A lot of them has come from others, more than one ceremony. But ultimately, and that was a few years before he closed. So he has probably around 20,000 people that he's introduced to ayahuasca. Right or wrong or indifferent, Chris Young is still my friend. That's the name. He's not any secret who the founder of Soul Quest was or is, but he always be a friend of mine, and he helped save my life, and he's helped introduce over 20,000 people to medicine. He's had one death there in 10 years. You're going to have deaths and things like that. It's just going to happen. So.
How did he die? What, did he do a bunch of blow before he went in there? Or like what? Or was it from the...
No, actually, it wasn't even from the ayahuasca ceremony. It was during a combo ceremony, which is a different. It's so they apply like frog poison to the skin, and it's a purgative ceremony. But yeah, he basically drank himself to death with water. And from what I understand, I don't want to get too far into it because I don't know all the particulars, and don't want to open up myself to any litigation. But yeah, I wasn't there, so I don't know firsthand. But from what I understand from people that were there, it had something to do with water. And yeah, he passed away. I think he was still alive. I think he passed away at the hospital later on, but it was complications from drinking too much water, from what I understand. It was from a combo ceremony. It wasn't actually from the ayahuasca ceremony.
Yep. And you certainly can drink too much water. That is a thing. 100,000 people a year die from too much salt. You can pretty much die from anything. But,
that's crazy, man.
But
so what's been going on in your life, man?
Man, just a lot of music stuff. We got put out our last album a few months ago. We got a new album coming out within the next month, and then as soon as we're done with that, right on to the next one, and then that should be out by summer. And that's just for one band. The other band, we're working on an album as well. So a lot of time has been going into there, which is partly why a couple of shows we missed were because of that. And then the rest of them were because I was out of town for several weeks. Conscious Life Expo was excellent. Then we went to Joshua Tree for a few days. That was excellent. Then we went to Vegas, which was a big mistake, but whatever. It was fun. And got home from that, and I was sick as a dog for about a week and a half after that. But one thing I did enjoy, though, was since the day I left Conscious Life Expo, the day that ended, so it was at the 11th or something, all the way up until about 4 days ago, no social media, zero, none. Didn't look at anything. The only thing I did was I just went on Twitter to post that we were not having shows. But that's it. I didn't look at the feed. I didn't look at my messages. I didn't look at anything. And I totally get why people just unplug. Like, it was very nice. Just not being bombarded with World War III is about to start right now. Oh, the end is near. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Russia's coming to bomb your Ford Focus specifically. Just like get all of that shit out of my mind.
Elon Musk is a Nazi.
Right. And that's right, Dragon Rose. I didn't even realize. I should have hit you up while I was there. Totally forgot that. We were on a whole other mission, but I should have hit you up. I didn't even think about that. How dare I? Yeah,
I was in. I actually did the last retreat in 29 Palms, the Joshua Tree place that we're working out of now. We're about to have some more that coming up that we're going to be working out of other locations, but satellite locations for Sacred Journeys Within. But that weekend we were there was the weekend of Conscious Life Expo. So half the people that was supposed to go to the retreat canceled because of Conscious Life Expo. So we were competing with the show. So
man, you should try to time it. Like, I don't know if it needs to be on a weekend that you do those, but at least in that particular situation, I mean, so many people that would like to do those ceremonies go to Conscious Life Expo. So if you were to set that up for like the Tuesday and Wednesday following the conference, you'd probably have an overcapacity amount of people coming to get in on that. That'd be a good little strategy, right there.
My ceremonies, I'm not focused on numbers really. I'm focused on the healing aspect of it. So I'd rather have
that's true.
time beforehand, because I like to do there's pre-integration work. We like to screen everybody before the ceremonies too. We do a medical screening and questionnaires and things like that beforehand. So it's a process that it's not just like showing up to a massage or something like that. It's something that we put in weeks and months, sometimes years. Like I said before, like sometimes the years before the actual ceremony, we start talking to people and going through the beginning process of figuring out what they want to, ultimately why they want to come to the ceremony, what's their intention of doing the ceremony itself. And, you get to know, just getting to know each person more. And cause I don't want psychedelic tourists, I want people that, either want to reach the next level of consciousness or work on trauma, or both, most of the time.
Yeah. And do you ever, there's definitely been times where, me and a few friends of mine, when we first got it, discovered mushrooms and stuff, like we thought it was like, oh, this fun party thing. But me and a few of my friends realized right away, like, oh, this is some profound stuff. And we would have basically our own little rituals and things that we would do to really just try to learn more about ourselves, each other, and like reality. And that's what we were in it for. And every once in a while, one of our other friends would be interested in joining us for one of those like actual meaningful, little psychedelic rituals that we would do. And there was a couple of times where, the three of us main ones, we sort of decided like, he's not in this for the right reason. Like, I don't think we should give this to him. Do you, have you ever had to turn people away just based on just seeing that they're either don't have the right intention or they're too nervous about it, or any reason that you've had to like sort of turn people away?
Yeah, I wouldn't say nervousness, because I mean this is natural reaction of most people coming, anyone coming to the ceremony, really, especially if you understand like what you're getting into. You're going to be nervous about it. People that are not nervous about it, those are really the people that worry me the most.
Great way to put it, actually.
You're coming to ayahuasca and not nervous. You don't really understand exactly what you're getting into, and it might be a lengthy conversation when the sun rises in the morning, over some tea after that. Like if you're not nervous going into it, because it's gonna it's gonna slap you.
Yeah.
But really I don't think I've ever really turned anybody away. I think as far as their mindset, I think we did refuse to do certain ceremonies, but there was always something that we could do, like if you can't do ayahuasca because of certain thing, like something holding you back from ayahuasca, lots of times we can work with mushrooms with you. Like mushrooms are very forgiving for a lot of things. Like people work on let's just say someone working on addiction, like you would have to be clean from opioids, methamphetamine, things like that, hard narcotics. Like you would have to be clean off those for 30 days before going into ayahuasca. Like with mushrooms, it's a little different. You could clean up for a week or less, and possibly go into I don't know, I'm not saying certain guidelines, but what I'm saying is the stipulations of going into ceremonies are a lot more relaxed with mushrooms than it is with ayahuasca. So people dealing with addiction and things like that, lots of times ayahuasca won't be an option at that moment, because it's just not conceivable for someone to go 30 days, let alone like maybe 3 days, without something they're addicted to, because that's what they're working on. But normally there is something that we can work with, and it even goes down to maybe even the sweat lodge or Tez McCall. That's an option too that we have for people with addiction, to help clean them out, to get them prepared for these other ceremonies. But ayahuasca is a master teacher, a master plant teacher. She's the feminine vibration of the universe, and I believe the whole universe is made up of masculine and feminine vibration. Those two vibrations, the concoction, make up source. So that's the Holy Trinity, the way that I see it: masculine energy, feminine energy, and the source is the Holy Trinity. But ayahuasca is a major plant teacher, and you have to really respect her going into it. But I definitely have turned people away and refused to do ceremonies just for their own safety. There was one funny story. There's not funny story, but one time in Florida, I went there, and lady we've helped before, won't name any names because they may possibly listen to this episode one day, but went there to do ceremony for her and her boyfriend. She was calling us there to do a ceremony for her boyfriend. He was dealing with addiction issues, and got there, and he said he was actively taking Adderall. He took Adderall that day, and he was basically, you could tell he was kind of over ODing on Adderall. He wasn't using it as prescribed method. He's obviously using it as amphetamine, really. And I said, I'm not serving you medicine. It's not serving you any medicine. He threatened to fight me. He started throwing chairs through the walls and punching holes in the walls, and threatened to beat me up if I didn't serve him ceremony. I was like, it's not.
Well, now you're definitely
not going to receive any healing from this. Given this, this situation is not going to be beneficial for you at all. You're going to you got bigger issues to work on before you even get close to doing a ceremony. And yeah, it's crazy that that story. I left, and there's a crazy ending to that story. Like, a couple weeks after that, this dude was caught driving down the road and was trying to run his girlfriend off the road. They broke up after this, and he was driving down the road and like hitting her bumper and trying to push her off the road, and this happened right in front of a cop. Like, a cop was sitting there in a parking lot or whatever, running traffic, and he ended up pulling the guy over. The guy had a shovel in his trunk, duct tape, like all kinds of stuff. And he ended up getting arrested, and I think he's in jail now for all this. But yeah, he's got. I think everybody deserves healing, and everybody deserves peace. But it's everybody has their own time when it's the right time. And he obviously hasn't hit rock bottom yet. Like, that's what he needs. That dude, he needs. And maybe this is rock bottom for him. And maybe being locked up will give him the chance of getting clean. But he's got a long hole to dig himself out of now. So
yeah, if he just
he's got trouble.
Yeah, if he just would have not taken that Adderall, then he could have had a nice healing session, and then he probably would have never ended up with a shovel and tape in his trunk, ramming his girlfriend off the road.
Yeah, crazy. He was like a radiology tech at a hospital too, and like working every day, and active addict, for a while. And I sympathize with him in a way, because I was there. I was at that point too one day. Time I wasn't into murder or kidnapping or anything like that. But I've had my dark times too, but not like that. But but yeah, it's just. I've seen a lot of things. I've experienced a lot of things over the years, and most of it's gratitude. Most of it's, just people in gratitude for the experience, in general, and that's what mostly is. So it's rewarding for sure.
Yeah. And now I got a question for you. What is your, do I want to go with song or just, we'll go with group, whether it's a band or a group or whatever. Is there, like, for more lighter psychedelics, so like psilocybin, for example, if you're just like
Dirtwire.
if who
Dirtwire.
Dirtwire, that's who you like to listen to?
Yeah, Dirtwire.
Okay. Yeah, I've actually never heard of them. That's a band.
Yeah.
And what is the album that you'd recommend putting on for a nice psilocybin evening?
Oh, current or any?
Any.
Oh, Jimmy for sure.
They have an album called Jimmy?
No, Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, Jimi Hendrix. Okay.
Yeah.
Long time for him.
Yeah, I mean,
Dude.
I think Jimmy was channeling aliens through his music, dude.
Dude,
You know?
he was channeling the music itself too, I would imagine.
I'm gonna turn up the. I'll be right back. I gotta turn up this heater a little bit.
Yeah, no worries. Man, I love that one song Andrew Reynolds used for his classic part in America, This Is Skateboarding. Burning of the Midnight Lamp. It went so well with Reynolds' part. And all-time classic. And kind of a deep cut, too. Even Hendrix fans don't really seem to know about that one. But, yeah, just imagine if that dude lived much longer than he did, man.
We did over at SOR. So I do a Saturday and Sunday night over at SOR with the after hours with Mr. Rob G. I do the third hour, the after hours wrap up. So I've been in the game long enough where there's a small group of people that want to hear my ideas or take on the guests. So every Saturday and Sunday when we do the after hours, I basically talk about the 2-hour interview in the third hour of after hours wrap up. And yeah, where was I going with that? Where did we start off with? Bring me back.
We're talking about Hendrix briefly.
Oh yeah, we had a person that he's a Hendrix cover band guy, and he was we had a long conversation about Hendrix and everything, and how deep he was. But I was surprised that he was only alive for a couple of years. So he was only not alive for a couple of years. He's only putting out music for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And the impact he had in that short time frame, I forgot how long it was, maybe 3 or 4 years or something like that. But the time frame that he was putting out music and the impact that he had is astounding. Like,
Yeah.
You're so right. If he was, if he lived into his 60s or 70s or something like that, can you imagine how much music he would put out? Like,
yeah.
but
It's incredible.
would Watchtower be what it is now if Hendrix was still alive? Would it be as special as it is now?
Yeah, that's true. Plus, for all we know, he could have ran out of shit, started milking it, and next thing you know, he's doing halftime shows with Taylor Swift or some bullshit. Yeah. You never know. But
you never know. But it all ended up how it's supposed to. This. Anyone that listens to music, that will agree that Jimmy was just an amazing musician, amazing, conduit for all this. So, yeah, if you're gonna listen to psychedelics, I would say Jimmy. Like my everyday listen, like what I listen to a lot, like if I'm just listening to music, is Dirtwire, and but I'm microdosing pretty much every day anyway, so.
Nice. And is it psilocybin microdose?
Yeah, just a small amount. Like I do a point, like a tenth of a gram, so you don't really even feel it. But I believe I really the more I get into it, I see the power and the transformation in the microdose just as much, if not more, as the macrodose ceremony. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, microdosing is, I couldn't recommend it enough. And yeah, like you said, you don't really, in the now, you don't really notice so much, but when you look back over your last week, you just sort of, you're just making sense of things, and you just realize, like, oh, I've just been in the zone. Like,
Yeah, it's psilocybin has been, they've been doing studies on microdosing and stuff, and it's shown and proven to repair brain receptors. So we have brain receptors in our brains that basically there's electrical charges going in between these brain receptors. And now that we're on video, people can see it a little better. But these brain receptors, when we have traumas and like PTSD, like really the basis behind PTSD is these brain receptors like go further apart and dull out this electrical charge that goes in between the two receptors. This happens in times of trauma, things that are, you know, throwing us off or overloading our system. So what psilocybin does, it actually brings those brain receptors closer together over time and allows that spark that goes in between to become more active and repairs it. So that it's basically the distance between the receptors, our natural survival instinct to get through certain situations, especially ones that really challenge our emotional, our mental state, will take those, we will naturally, those receptors will become further apart. But psilocybin has been proven to bring them closer together over time. And, you know, I think it takes it a step farther once we repair those receptors. I think it starts to, you know, let us open up more.
Now I got a question for you. With your land out there, what do you got? 5 acres?
Yes.
Do you have the possibility of growing?
Growing what? Like
I mean,
anything?
what I mean, getting land, growing your land. Can you buy more land?
Yeah.
Okay, because I got a question for you, man. Are you ultimately trying to get it to where you're setting your ceremonies up there and having people stay? Because I noticed when you were on that show, you would have people stay once in a while. So I was wondering if you're trying to get to the point where you're going to have more acres and be able to put people like on little homes out there and really be able to help.
Well, ultimately, you know, I want to get away from doing ceremonies altogether. It's just something I see phasing out over time, but I want to get more into speaking. I think I can reach more people by speaking than I can with ceremonies. You know, I think I always probably do ceremonies for friends and things like that. But as far as me doing ceremonies for the public, I think, you know, that'll be coming to the end over the next couple of years, and just shifting more into speaking, like really, you know, the responses that I've been getting, you know, over these bigger ceremonies over the past months and stuff. You know, I've been getting a lot of messages of just words that I've said or something that I said really reached someone. It's really shifted how they they start their day off or whatever, how they view the death of, you know, their child or a close family member, just all these things. So I see that I'm helping people and really take backing people away from the edge with these ceremonies a lot of times, or catapulting them into a different consciousness understanding. But as if I'm looking at numbers, I can definitely reach more people by speaking than I can having them out here or reaching them face to face, one-on-one.
Now, do you think with AI being the way it is and Elon putting the old chips in people's head, do you think medicine would be phased out altogether and basically they would just switch over to machine?
No, because I think there's a barrier at some point that AI can't understand consciousness. Like it can theorize on it, but it really can't experience a heightened state of divinity. It has the access of all the information as far as in the internet and things like that, which it makes it very intelligent. And that fact, but um, there's a certain point that you have to have a connection to source to experience it. And those, AI doesn't, I think there's that barrier there. And that's my take on it at this point. That may change, but I don't worry about that. Like, some people think that it's going to go too far. I think there's systems in place that we don't know about that we've kind of put in place and on a higher level aspect of ourselves that it's not it can never take over because it can never really understand how consciousness actually works. It can definitely theorize on it, and that's what a lot of people do until they actually experience it. People talk about psychedelics and things like that, but you don't really know what it's like until you actually experience it. They can, so I would never read a book from someone about psychedelics that's never took psychedelics.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think you're really onto something there. Yeah. There's definitely, it is biologics are required to get what the medicine has to offer. And now, so I got these. So another thing I've been wanting to get back into is grounding, and I've been looking into it a lot, like all kinds of like sort of medical miracles just from grounding. Like they'll go on a petri dish and look at their blood before they go grounding. It's all, they have some blood issue or whatever. They go out, they just ground for like 10 minutes. They come back and their blood looks perfect, So, but wanting to get back into it, but where I'm at here on the west side of Houston, right by the forest, like if you walk on bare feet in the grass, you're getting bit by Texas-sized ants and spiders everywhere right next to the forest. So I got these bad boys. They're grounding socks, and they're made out of some material that I've never even heard of before. I've never felt this before. It's almost like it's really hard to describe what this material is, but apparently you can ground through it's made out of something that actually is conductive to the grounding process. Nice. So that you can protect your feet while you're grounding. And just got these in today, so I'm about to be grounding multiple hours a day out there. And plus I would imagine that would even surely that would enhance a psychedelic experience as well, I would imagine, instead of standing in shoes,
For sure. Yeah, anything that you can do. There's actually they make these grounding mats that you can put on your bed, so you can sleep on them, and you can plug them into the ground. So most, especially nowadays, like every electrical outlet has 3 plugs, 3 points, where you plug in, anything, appliance or whatever to the electrical outlet in your house. That round one, that's actually the grounding point. So what they do is it's not actually like plugging the pad into the electrical thing. It's just plugging it into the grounding part of it, just the top. Right. And you can sleep on that, and it has the same effect. Like they've shown just what you're talking about, those experiments with the blood being coagulated in different forms, and just after a few seconds even, your blood changing and being more healthy. But yeah, it's there's studies coming out now that also there's organs in our body that need sunlight. 20 minutes of sunlight a day is optimal for, I can't remember whether it's gallbladder or like liver or whatever, pancreas or whatever organ it is, but there's a recent study that come out that they talk about how your body needs 20 minutes a day to properly function. This organ needs 20 minutes a day to properly function. And we're not talking about, oh, you need antioxidants or you need green tea. No, you need to be in the sun for 20 minutes. And there's other countries, Germany, Japan, China, there's all these other countries. If you go to lots of different doctors there, they will prescribe you to go on a walk for common colds. Like if you got the sniffles, early onset of flu, stuff like that, they will prescribe you to go swim in the ocean 3 times every other day for a week or something like that. They will prescribe being in nature, and we need to get back to that in the Western world.
Absolutely.
Like seriously, because most of the things can be taken care of by what we have. We don't have to ingest anything. We just need to be in nature, breathe fresh air, drink from it, go hiking and drink from a stream in the mountain, and the basis behind it is go back and be primal. Like go back to your primal self. Stop being domesticated, because we're animals. When it comes down to it, we're highly domesticated, self-domesticated animals. And when we go back and understand that and go back to our primal selves, think about how people wonder, we had this conversation the other day about Chaco Canyon, what life was back then. No one really knows, because you got to think, people were drinking water. Nobody was drinking soda. Nobody was spending too much time on Facebook. People were living in tune with nature. They were growing their own food. They were drinking mostly water. They were in tune with the circadian rhythm of the sun. They were going to sleep when the sun went down and getting up naturally when the sun come up. They're, and raising animals and grounding, mostly not wearing shoes. And, these are all these that it's pretty simple if you look back and be like, okay, how were these so connected back in these days? Well, this is why, because they weren't dumbing themselves down and turning these wolves into puppies.
Right. And that's, just the simplest things can prevent so much of what people suffer from today. And the way our Western medicine sort of approaches it, it's kind of like, imagine if you had, just a big ass tree just collapsed and fell onto your roof. And every day it's sinking in another inch or so. And to fix the problem, they're just like, oh, well, here, we got some screws. We'll put that underneath the roof, and that'll hold the tree up. It'll stop, it'll slow down. Well, how about you remove the fucking tree? How about that? They get to the actual root of the problem. And, just some sun, some grounding, swimming. Just get out there and absorb the natural healing that Mother Gaia provides, instead of just scarfing down a bunch of pills.
The conversation, on the main stage, the current presidential administration that we have in RFK Jr., everybody knows that his stance on psychedelics, and that's been on the front page. I know I have personal knowledge from a friend of a friend that served RFK about 2 months ago now, 5-MeO DMT. So he's seen the light and he's touched source. So I'm really excited to see someone with that experience in a position that they can actually take that knowledge and make a difference. Yes. I'd be interested to see what happens. I'm not on ride anyone's coattails or endorsing any political party or anything or any person, but it's just interesting, you know. It's just I have a lot of hope for RFK, but we'll see what happens. So
I mean, just in general, we need people like that. Yeah, regardless of what side or whatever, people in those positions that actually understand the experience and the benefits of it. And I'm very excited I'm very hopeful about it. You know, we'll see what he can actually do, but at least the intention is there.
You know, ultimately, it's less than 4 years now and in the grand scheme of things, it takes a long time to undo some of these things that are tied up in the government, the powers to be. So realistically, we'll see what happens. And, you know, when it comes down to it, they're all the politicians. So like we have to, I've never trusted a politician, never will. But I think it's all part of the same. I think it's all, you know, the whole two-part political party. I don't think there's even two parties. You know,
not
I think
really.
I think it's all one big show. But it's a really interesting show right now. I have to say that there's a lot of changes, you know, from just on the psychedelic, you know, front and all that. And I think we're in for some crazy years. We're already had some amazing things happen this year, you know, as a collective. Me personally, you know, and I think that's what we started talking about in the beginning, you know, like what's going on with me. I see a reflection of that in the whole, you know. I see this craziness, this excitement in my own personal life. I see a reflection of that happening in the collective. You know, I wake up every day just not only wondering what email I'm going to have got in the middle of the night from someone, you know, talking about something, inviting me or whatever, you know, on a podcast or a show or wherever, or wanting to do a ceremony or whatever it is. But I also wake up just excited to see what's going on in the world. Like, you know, it's an exciting time. Like what new thing is happening today, you know?
Yeah. And there's truly never been a more exciting time to be alive, both for good and bad. But yeah, exciting. Absolutely exciting. And yeah, man, I can't wait just to see what happens this year alone, you know. And
I think
more happens.
You know, I've always said that, you know, it's gonna be. I got some messages at the end of last year that 2025 is going to be an amazing year, not only for myself, but, you know, humanity in general. But it's going to be just an amazing time. So, yeah, I really see myself being on Rogan by the end of the year. You know, I know I think I said it last year, but I really think this year may be the year that it happens. So if it does or doesn't, I really don't. Really, it's not going to make or break me at this point anyway. But
I can see it happening. I
just, it'd be fun, you know. It'd be fun.
Yeah, and you guys would have such a great conversation too, because he's very well versed. And
I think I was talking to Ella on the way on today. Actually, she's like, "What? When Rogan calls, what are you gonna tell him?" I was like, "Well, he's got to have. I'm not drinking Black Rifle coffee, you know. I got to have Cafe Bustillo. I got to have a French press of Cafe Bustillo there. A joint for every hour. I don't care how many. We could go 6 hours if you want, but it's got to be a 1 gram joint per hour. So, and I think that was it. I think that was my only stipulations, but." You know, but I do know, I've heard, you know, I've talked to enough people that has been on the show or knows people who've been on the show, and yeah, it's a 5-star treatment, you know, from start to finish. They send a driver, pick you up, take you to the airport. They meet you at the airport, take you, you know, in Austin, take you to this place and set you all up and everything. So yeah, I'm just kind kind of like what I've done with the other ones, visualizing myself there and visualizing myself in that spot, and eventually, that visualization manifests. So
Yeah, I mean, you have seriously manifested, and wouldn't surprise me even the slightest little bit that you end up on Rogan this year. And if not this year, it's definitely, you guys would just have such a great conversation. It's just a matter of him being aware of what you do, And
yeah, I think these two viral videos and more to come from the long form interview from Digital Social Hour is definitely a step in the right direction. It's just a numbers game at this point, and once you get out there enough where people can't not look at you or not notice you, and that's what I'm looking at now. I'm not trying to just squeeze in a interview with Joe. I'm more at the point now, like, okay, I'm gonna get so big that he has to. He can't deny me anymore. So
yeah, absolutely. And real quick before I forget, do you have one of those grounding blankets or pillowcases that we were talking about earlier? Okay.
no, I don't. No.
Yeah, because I was looking into them, and there's several different brands, and I'm just trying to figure out like which one is like the full tilt boogie brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. I'm outside a lot with my shoes off. Even like now, it's up in the 50s and 60s during the day, and for a few hours during the middle of the day, you can be outside without shoes on. So, every now and then I'd be out without shoes on, and with that intention, I don't sit there and meditate like grounding, like there's the whole thing with burying your feet and like being the tree and all that stuff. But
right.
that's just being out. I don't think too hard into it. My teacher Renato, he told me something that always stuck with me. Like, these ceremonies will help you get you out of a corner and get you back into the middle of the room, where society or whatever your experiences have put you into a corner. These ceremonies will bring you back out into the center of the room where you can live, but we always have something in us that will take us into a different corner, and back ourselves in. That's just saying, like, during the spiritual path, you might undo all these traumas and help you live a freer life, but then you have all these restrictions of you can't eat this, can't eat that, you can't interact with this person, or you're scared to get your energy affected, or this or that. And that's not really the focus of what we're trying to do. We're trying to let people live a fuller life and just a freer life in general, free of everything, free of anxiety, of not, we tend to put different labels on our fears and things that hold us back. And that's just our human nature, that we feel that is supposed to be part of how we live. And when we see it all the time, especially, people that are newly awakened or people that, come back from Peru and they want to, live a totally different life. And that's not the message. The message is to live the life that you have, just tweak it a little bit, different things about it, but don't make different things that hold you back, and yeah, Renato has gave me a lot of gifts with knowledge that he's passed on, and that was one of them. He got me to, because I was vegan for a few years and it just wasn't right for my body, and he's like, if you're eating plants, so what says that a plant is any less sentient than an animal is, and you're looking at a plant as less of a being just because it's a plant or a fruit, and eating it but not eating meat because you don't want to disrespect the animal. Well, you're still eating a plant. It's about, and he just explained it to me in a way that really you can eat anything. It's about how you how you view it and your gratitude towards it and things like that. So
absolutely.
yeah, but he's so, you know, I don't give him enough gratitude and shout outs that I should. Renato's helped mold me into who I am today, so shout out to him.
Oh yeah, shout out to Renato, and yeah, give him a shout out for me as well, and
yeah,
tell him I appreciate what he's done for you.
Yeah,
as well. So well, that's a pretty good way to end it right there. Some good words of wisdom there. Actually, I'm going to follow that up with a really dumb question. You ready?
sure.
If I'm walking outside barefoot but on concrete, that's not going to be grounding, is it? Or is it?
The best is on raw earth.
Yeah, definitely dirt, right?
Because I mean, you have the vibration of the concrete that's kind of blocking. You know, it'd be just the same as you wearing shoes. You know.
Right. So yeah, so that would be pretty pointless.
But yeah, the best way, I mean, ideally is on raw dirt. You know.
And do you think like would grass be a little less potent than just straight dirt, do you think?
I think it'd be more, you know, because grass is more alive.
More
you know,
life.
it's a living, you know, a living being that's actually connected to the earth itself. So I mean, it might amplify it, as would be my first thought, you know, of it. But this is all theory, you know. I'm no expert on grounding or anything like that. I'm just talking from a standpoint of understanding frequency and vibration.
Yep. And yeah, as soon as we wrap this up in a minute, I am going outside, putting these bad boys on, gonna go ground myself, both metaphorically and literally. All right, and real quick before we get out of here, Elf, you got any last questions or thoughts?
Nope. I'm good, man. He's covered a lot tonight.
Absolutely. And okay, I'm not alone. Dragon Rose is like, I was wondering about that too. So yeah, there you go. So real quick, now for all of Drew's links, all of his social media accounts, his website, the books, everything is over at shifthappensradio.com. Go to the guest info section, which you click right there in the menu, and everything is right there, direct links to all of his stuff. However, for those that don't want to do that and they just want to hear it over the air, and for those that are just listening, where's the best place? I mean, you're on pretty much all social media. Where do you think is the best place for people to keep up to date with Drew Bankiness?
Yeah, any of them. You know, I try to stay up to date on all the socials. You know, Facebook, Insta, X, TikTok. I'm on all those. Lemon, I'm on that one now. Threads, I'm on that one now. But it's all Drew Bankey, just my name. You know, any of the socials, just Drew Bankey, super easy to find. YouTube, Drew Bankey. You know, that's it's not was Eagles Nest podcast for a while, but I changed the name just to Drew Bankey, so just
nice and simple.
People, it would be easy to look. And yeah, be looking for episode coming out on Discovery Channel on Homestead Rescue in season 13. I don't know the episode number yet, but it will be in season 13. Yeah, still trying to make the Contact in Desert. I wish I knew someone at Contact in Desert that could help me out.
Well, but, hey, yeah. Well, you know, I've got the man himself coming on next week, or if not the week after. And yeah, what are we doing? Yeah, we need to make that happen. So
yeah,
I will definitely see what I can do. 1,000%. And
I would appreciate it, you know, and it's no expectations, but always, you know, just whatever you can do. Yeah. But yeah, Oh, and if you haven't checked it out yet, it's on my socials. You know, it's not hard to find. I've been posting clips and links, but the Digital Social Hour podcast, check out that. It's everywhere where you find podcasts, and I think on YouTube now it's coming up on 14,000 views on the long form interview, and there's I think 6 clips out there. The clips are amazing that they have on YouTube for the interview. I got Bigfoot, me talking about Bigfoot, me talking about Grays, me talking about Face of Ace County or Chaco Canyon, Trump prophecy, Trump being the last president of this current governmental structure, all those things. It was a crazy interview. It was an hour and 20 minutes, and yeah, I was really pumped up, and it's just an amazing interview. But Joe, if you happen to catch this interview on Shift Happens, who knows, Joe Rogan might be sitting home right now listening to Shift Happens. Stop fucking around, and hit your boy up. Let's do this. So
That's how you sell it right there. Yeah. And but yeah, I know it's going to happen. You guys are going to have a fantastic conversation, and
yeah, and I'm gonna mention Shift Happens when I'm on the show too.
hell yeah, man.
I'm gonna be. Ella was joking around with me the other day. She's like, "You should just start being like the NASCAR and start wearing just a coat and just having patches and selling like a patch for like $500 on your arm or something. It'd pay for my travel to the podcast or whatever." But yeah, it's funny.
There you go.
It's just a good. I mean, I'm having fun with life now. Long story short, I'm just having fun with life. I don't. My needs are taken care of, and I'm loved and supported by my family, and just having fun. So what else could I ask for? And someone messaged me the other day, and they did ceremony with me years ago, and they're like, they're at the point now their family is finally starting to asking how they can do that, get that same healing, because they've seen a change in this person over the years. And they're just talking about how much gratitude it is for having their family finally come into this, and knowing that their family is going to have some healing eventually and all that. And I was like, well, kind of how I put it, like, once you see the light, like, what else is there, after that, other than spread, what else is there but to spread the light? Like, once you see the light, what else is there to do? Obviously you got to live life. You still got to, go through the motions of life, and things like that. But the overall thing, like what your mission in life is to do, is spread the light. Once you see the light, your mission is to spread the light, and I think that's a really great way to end the conversation.
Yeah, and you've done a fantastic job of that. And like I said before, it's just been really cool to see your growth over just this last 5 or 6 years. We've known each other, and kind of starting off brand new and then getting to where you're at now in just that short period of time has been very cool to see. And like you said, yeah, I can tell you're having fun, you're loving every minute of it, and it's very well deserved, much deserved. So congratulations, man, on everything you got going on.
Well, I really appreciate all your support, man, and L's support, everyone that's been in the chat. I see the same names popping up, every time I come back to the show, and I couldn't have got to where I am now without the confidence of people being like, okay, like, you might be onto something. It sounds like you're feeling right to me, and the support from everybody has really got me to where I am. And like I always said, if I'm reaching one person, I feel like I've done good. So if it's one person that hears what I'm talking about and during an interview, that's all I ask for. And the more the merrier. So I appreciate the support of everybody immensely. And yeah, you, brother, and Elf, and everybody in the chat, I appreciate everyone's support. So
beautiful. All right, thanks, man, and right back at you. And Yeah, great show, man. It was good hanging out. We'll definitely have to have you back on sooner than later. And
For sure.
And with that, yep, we got to go ahead and boogie on out of here. So let's go ahead and do that right this very now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Shift Happens here for the Fringe FM. The show is hosted and produced by yours truly, Gigi. Follow me on Twitter. Follow the show over at Shift Happens Pod. We're also on Instagram. All social media links are on shifthappensradio.com homepage, including the archive of episodes. Everything you need is right there. Associate producer is Brad Harris. Follow him on Twitter at ADS Brad Harris. And as always, all blames and faults go to Fran. That's right, hashtag Fran's fault. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you back here next Friday. Bye-bye now.